everyone, and welcome to NISAW 2021. For those who are not familiar with NISAW, NISAW is an acronym for National Invasive Species Awareness Week. And every year it's celebrated at the end of February. And so for this week, the Escambia County Extension Office, we're going to put a quick video up each day to talk about different parts of the invasive species issue. And then at the very end of the week, we'll talk to you a little bit about how to report them and even how to manage some of them. But what we want to do first is basically define what an invasive species is. The word is used by lots of people and lots of agencies, lots of different ways. But just recently, the Invasive Species Council at the University of Florida published a paper that kind of categorized the terminology so that everyone at the university was using the terms in the same way. So our definition of an invasive species has three parts to it. And in order for it to be listed as an invasive, it's got to have all three parts. So number one, part one, is it's got to be a non-native to your area. I'm in Northwest Florida right now, so we're talking about any plant or animal, insect, microbe that is not native to this area would be considered non-native. And so how do you define native? That's been a little more problematic, but most of us are going with any creature, plant, or animal that was here during the beginning of the European colonization. We consider a native species. Now, there have been a lot of other plants that have been become natural or native since then that we've included to the list. But a non-native would be non-native to this region. And again, it's relative. There's some species that are not native to the United States, and so there are others that are native to South Florida but not North Florida. But in order to be listed as an invasive, it has to be non-native. Number two, it has to be introduced by humans. It naturally gets to this area, then we wouldn't consider it invasive. It might be a nuisance, it might be a problem, but it's not going to be listed as an invasive. So now that introduction by humans may have been accidental. A lot of times we bring plants and animals to this part of Florida intentionally, but a lot of times we don't. It's completely accidental. So number one, non-native to the area. Number two, introduced by humans. And number three, once it gets here, it's got to be causing some sort of problem, either an environmental or an economic problem. An example here to kind of go through this is one of the biggest invasives that we have in the southeast, real problematic grass known as Kogan grass. It's found throughout Florida, almost all counties, I think, now in the state of Florida. It's found in Alabama, Mississippi, and spread through Georgia and lots of the southeast. If we go down the hierarchy, is it non-native? Yes, this plant is actually from Southeast Asia, is where it's from. How did it get here by humans? Yeah, we know two things on coca grass and its introduction to the South. One was accidental. In the 1920s, it came in on crates full of oranges from Indonesia into Grand Bay, Alabama, which is not too far to the west of us, and it spread from there. So it was an accidental release. But we also know that it was brought into the state of Mississippi also as a potential forage crop for livestock. So it was intentionally and accidentally brought. Is it problematic? You bet it is. It's an extremely aggressive growing plant. It will cover an entire field very quickly. It's got serrated edges on the side and silica pieces within the grass. The livestock just does not like it at all. So once it starts growing in your field, the cows are obviously going to move to another area where this stuff is not taken over, but eventually your field will become taken over and you've got a serious problem. For forest, like we got pine behind us, if it starts growing back up into the pine forest, it burns extremely hot. So we do a lot of prescribed burning around here, and if you got Kogan grass infesting into your timber, it will burn possibly too hot and kill the trees. So yes, this one is a problem, so we will definitely call Kogan grass an invasive species.